The following is rated not safe for work. It contains strong language, adult situations, and lots of spoilers. Discretion is advised.
In the criminal justice system, cinematic-based offenses are considered especially heinous. The dedicated attorneys who investigate these villainous films are members of an elite squad known as the Reels of Justice. These are their stories.
Order, please, order. The Reels of Justice is now in session. Judge Maynard Bangs presiding. Will you all rise for the Honorable Judge Bangs?
Be seated. Welcome to the Reels of Justice. Today we are hearing the case of The People versus Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toymaker. A 1991 horror film about an elderly shop owner and his bizarre son who unleash havoc during the holidays with a horde of murderous playthings. For those of you unfamiliar with our court proceedings, we are here to determine if this film is guilty of being a bad movie. As always in this courtroom, films are to be considered excellent until proven awful, and the burden of proof lies upon the prosecution to prove beyond a shadow of a reasonable doubt that this film is guilty. Mr. Big Ben Haslar, you're appearing on behalf of the prosecution. You may begin your opening statement.
Santa is just a big pedo. That's right, gentlemen and gentlemen of the jury. This movie has a huge pedo problem. It has Pedo's Toy Store. It has robot pedos with penis envy. Pedos. You see, I think because his name is Joe Pedo, it was meant to be like Geppetto from Pinocchio, but that's not what you hear when you keep seeing the Pedo's Toy Store in the film. This isn't just a bad movie. This is the quintessential bad movie. This is a movie that would be right at home in a riffing show or party. Perhaps its main selling point is that it features Mickey Rooney. And quick show of hands here in the courtroom, how many of you saw a movie only because Mickey Rooney was in it? 1, 2, 3, nobody. As all good sequels do, it completely ignores the movies that came before it. They really wanted to make a film about killer toys from Pedo's Toy Store, but with a franchise name like Silent Night, Deadly Night, they can't just let that go, can they? They knew nobody would watch this film on its own merits, The Toymaker starring Mickey Rooney. Let's just try and squeeze the last drops of viewership we can out of the Silent Night, Deadly Night name, can we not? In fact, they produce it from Still Silent Pictures, as if to say, oh yes, we're still using Silent Night, Deadly Night's name to make pictures. It's just dumb. It's a movie just to make a movie, and like the robo-pedo confined in this film's festering bells, it has no soul, and should be condemned in this courtroom today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Haslar. I will point out I was raising my hand and remind you that Mickey Rooney was the number one box office draw from 1939 to 1941.
Wow, spanning 2 decades.
How old are you, Your Honor?
And now, appearing on behalf of the defense, we have Mr. Graham Skipper. Please present your opening statement.
You know what else was a movie just to make another movie? Casablanca. I wonder what another film just to make a movie was. Citizen Kane, perhaps? Look, when I want to go see a movie called Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, what do I want? I want to see killer toys. I want to see a demented Santa. I want to see drunk Mickey Rooney. I want to see a weird, spoiler alert, automaton with no genitalia who highlights that he has no genitalia. And I want to see him weirdly humping a woman saying, "You're my mommy. You're my mommy." I frankly don't know what more you could want out of a film. And I especially don't know what more you could want out of a film that is the 5th entry in a franchise. I like the Silent Night, Deadly Night franchise fine. I think that every entry has its merits. And I also thoroughly enjoy a holiday-themed horror film. But if I'm honest, Silent Night, Deadly Night, the first one is a little too mean for my sake. Don't really like it. Part 2 is sort of the Room of horror movies. It's truly so bad it's good. Part 3 and 4 have their very special merits, but none of them reach the heights of weirdness, bizarrety, and pure joy of Part 5, starring America's sweetheart, Mickey Rooney.
Am I to understand you're going for the insanity plea?
Thank you, Mr. Skipper. Mr. Haslar.
I'll leave that to the I'll leave that to the court.
Thank you. Mr. Haslar, please proceed with your first exhibit.
All right, let's talk about the toy killing. The first toy that kills somebody is this little boring-ass Santa Claus that just spins its head around. Except the toy shoots menacing sparks, and the dude seems unfazed about it as its head pops up. Then the toy plays "Give Me a Kiss," and it shoots its arms and legs around him, a la Mr. Fantastic. Now, my question to you is, how does this toy know the guy is dead? Is it monitoring his vitals? What if he didn't fall on that fire poker and remained calm? Would it just sit there until he died of starvation or something? And does the mom not put it together that the toy killed her husband? Not only does she not put it together, she puts the toy in the kid's room. The kid saw the toy kill him. Even if he can't talk, you think he'd be kicking and screaming about the toy. He even takes like these rollerblades out because he's scared of another gift. Why is he not throwing this Santa toy out of the room with it?
Well, I'll jump in and say my question to you is, what is logic, and why are you referencing it right now? Who the fuck cares?
Well, I cared because I want to watch a cohesive movie. The toy is rather lame. Even if you didn't know it killed people, all it does is like spin its head around and it's as seen on TV commercial. Like truly, it was that year's Tickle Me Elmo.
And then it kills people.
No, just that one does, because I think just that one was modified.
There are many toys in this movie that kill people.
And why is the police not involved in that death, nor the death with the rollerblades where the kid's going wow, wow, wow around in the streets?
Because police have absolutely no place in this film.
And why does Joe Petto sell the ex-dad, Larry the Larvae, knowing it might kill people, when really it's just the kid, or I'm sorry, Pino Petto, trying to off the kid?
Look, you're just trying, again, to apply logic to a film that implicitly denies logic. I don't know what to say to these things aside from, Joe Petto's got to make a buck. And if he's got to sell a murderous larva toy, so be it. It's been a tough time.
Let's just he's obviously hurting for business, so let's just kill off all of his clientele. Why not?
Question from the bench, if I might.
He's not killing off his clientele. He's killing off the children of his clientele.
No, Pino Petto is the one that's trying to kill the kid.
Order. If I may ask a question from the bench.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Skipper, in your opinion, is Joe Petto in on this current string of murders?
No, I don't believe he is. I believe that Pino Petto is the one altering the toys to be murderous. Of course, these are all the creations. All of the automaton creations are born of Joe Petto's mind. But now Pino has taken front and center.
Okay, all right.
Well, since we switched to that, I'll go ahead and talk about Joe Petto because I have questions about him too. So years ago, he was making all these murderous toys, and he was arrested for making them after his wife died. Yet for whatever reason, the authorities don't seem to care or keep an eye on this guy that he set up a new toy shop. Why is that?
Mr. Skipper?
The LAPD is very busy. And I mean, he's such a sweet little innocent drunk old man. He's changed his ways. Why keep track of him? Why keep tabs? No point.
Mickey Rooney just continually guzzles down cups of Jack Daniels just to cope with the fact that he's starring in the 5th movie of this spy film. I can tell.
I want to point out. I think an important point of order here is that Mickey Rooney famously publicly lambasted the first 2 Silent Night, Deadly Night movies.
He did. It's true.
He did. And yet here he is in the 5th one, which must mean, yes, the 5th one is that good.
He read the script and he couldn't turn it down, huh?
How come his character has money problems, and yet it never dawns on him that he created an honest-to-goodness android, and he could be featured on the cover of Wired magazine right now?
I can't speak to a character's foolishness or to his lack of foresight. I can only speak to the awesomeness of his sexless son automaton that murders people.
This court does recognize it being foolish to create an automaton and then making it sexless.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, to be fair, though, Pino does point out that Joe could create almost everything, but not everything, if you know what I mean. So I don't think it was foolish.
Not like Data, not fully functional,
he was
programmed
not
in
fully
multiple
functional.
techniques.
Exactly.
Jesus.
And Pino, he's an android because Mickey Rooney wanted to have a kid and he couldn't have a kid, so he made a kid out of toys. He's like Geppetto, and Pino likes to break into his house, these people's house, because he used to live there. I know I once broke into my old place just to guzzle sake and watch Karen Gillan films. This is all like set up to watch, like set up like fake scares to like sort of throw you off guard. In fact, there's like the hero of this film is a stalker who follows his old girlfriend and kid around, suspecting they might be buying killer toys, but never just, tells them outright that, hey, you might be buying killer toys. No, we need to try and trick the audience into thinking he's the toy maker. It's cheap writing. He stalks the mom and kid, yet has to be told by the babysitter where she works.
True, Mr. Haslar.
And then mom runs from the ex-dad when she sees him in the parking lot. And this is another just cheap scare. She runs and you think, oh, this guy's going to kill her. And then they start making out seconds later. And I should point out, her husband's blood is not even cold yet. He died not 2 weeks before.
Was it 2 weeks? Or
It said 2 weeks at some point, yeah.
I thought a full year had passed or something.
Yeah, I thought it said something like a year or 2 years.
Yeah.
I thought 2 weeks.
Which is why I flagged that it was particularly strange that after like 2 years had passed, she still had condolence cards on her bedside table.
Okay, well, if it is a year, then I'll withdraw that point.
Very good. Mr. Skipper, what can I have some reply to this main character protagonist stalker hero?
Yeah, I give you that it's a bit of a strange way to try to win someone's heart. By stalking them and trying to secretly give your illegitimate son gifts. However, I will say this: his heart's in the right place. I appreciate that the filmmakers decided to give us such a red herring because, frankly, it keeps us on our toes. We all thought that he was perhaps the murderous goon that was doing all of these horrible things. So frankly, it worked. I don't care if it's cheap. I like cheap booze just as much as I like the top shelf stuff. So in that respect, I'm a lot like Mickey Rooney in this movie.
Here. Mr. Haslar, what do you have to say? Top shelf booze versus cheap booze?
Oh, only the top shelf stuff for us in this courtroom, Your Honor. I think we've established only high class. All right. So moving on, let's talk about how this fits into the Silent Night, Deadly Night series.
Oh, let's not.
This movie features Clint Howard as Ricky and Neith Hunter as Kim Levitt. This is despite the fact that Ricky dies in part 4. And Kim hasn't written her tell-all book about the bug sex cult or whatever the hell was going on in that 4th movie. She really seems to have moved on. It does hint that the character's been through some things that she can hardly believe happened, but now she lives in LA, suburbia, and she adopted a kid. These dots just don't connect. So is this a prequel? You'd think so, but then you clearly hear them watching Silent Night, Deadly Night 4 in a scene. So this is just them not caring about continuity.
I want to jump in here and say this is one of my favorite parts of this film is the fact that they have characters from the previous film who clearly are not taking into account the events of the previous film, who also are aware of the previous film as a film. It's a very weird mindfuck. It's very clearly the producers thinking, what the fuck? Nobody will have seen part 4 anyway. Let's make part 5. And I love that.
I think it was in the script that Ricky was in it? Or did they just like, we could get Clint Howard for like 45 seconds?
It's probably that. It was probably like, I could call Clint up right now. And he was like, sure, whatever. And they decided to name him the same thing.
Give me my paycheck now.
The thing that we have to remember is that back when this was made, and let's see, what year was this? This was
1991.
This was still sort of the nascent era of VHS rentals. And And I believe that this was still an era when it was totally plausible that people would not have seen all of the later entries in a film franchise. So I think that on the part of the filmmakers, it's completely reasonable for them to assume, like, well, nobody really cares that much about the Silent Night, Deadly Night franchise. And you know
I feel
what?
like you're making my case for me, sir.
No, and you know what? And you know what? They were right. And so what did they do? They just made a balls to the wall, weird ass movie that was vaguely about Christmas, but more about Christmas than the previous two films were. And it's awesome.
And
And
pump
again,
it out direct to shitio.
I mean, look, again, this is the stuff that I grew up loving and that I grew up watching. This is the stuff that's still, like, when I turned this on today to pop this on, just to like catch myself up on it. I watch it every year. I love this movie. When I turned it on, I just felt that warm, fuzzy feeling. Now I'm going to say something here that's a little bit scandalous. All right. But do I feel that same feeling when I turn on the legendary perfection that is Black Christmas? No, I don't. Because Black Christmas is about something. Black Christmas has meaning. Black Christmas has interesting, complex characters. Black Christmas is an important piece of cinema. Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toymaker, is none of those things.
So by your logic, The Empire Strikes Back is a bad movie.
No. I'm not saying Black Christmas is a bad movie. I'm just saying that, just as I like to watch Empire Strikes Back, I also like to watch Battle Beyond the Stars. And that's just who I am.
What don't you like to watch, sir?
I abstain.
Well, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all.
I was about to say that's what my mother used to always tell me, and I like to keep that as a good motto.
Mr. Haslar, do you have another line of argumentation?
Sure. Beyond the sex in this thing is weird. We talked about Pino being like sort of a sexless doll that likes to hump his would-be mommy. But if by some chance you're still leaning innocent, jury, let me just remind you of something. The sex scene, which focuses on the tighty-whities, is very, very nauseating. Much more so than the supposed scares or deaths. It focuses on the underpants in the way Michael Bay focuses on breasts and butts. I want you to picture all several minutes of that tighty-whitey butt in your head as you utter the words, "not guilty." It can't be done. It can't be done. The prosecution rests.
Resting on tidy whities. Mr. Skipper, what do you have to say about those tidy whities?
Look, all I can say about those tidy whities is that it's a chiseled butt, it's a pair of tidy whities, and there's a hand doing things to it. And the hand is a toy hand. It's disembodied, and it's all hilarious.
I forgot about that.
I would much rather have a weirdo, tidy whitey focused hand going up the butt sex scene than any number of A-list Hollywood super expensive sexy sex scenes. Why? Because I can laugh at this one. I think this one is really fun. I love that they have literally a rubber snake that they try to pass off as some kind of uber mechanical android that they're clearly just like throwing around the room. The sex scene is one of my favorite parts of the movie. I also love it because it's so clearly like ill-timed. Like she definitely shouldn't be having sex in that room at that moment. I also love that he does point out, where did all these toys come from? And they very clearly weren't there. I mean, it's like a toy store has appeared in the room. Yeah. And they're both, like, well, I guess we just missed him. Why? In service of the film. In service of the film. I don't say this about every movie. There are some films that I might see where I go like, I wish that they'd been more clever with the script writing there. But I'm not going to say that about Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toymaker. No, I'm going to enjoy the ride that I'm on.
Because it would hurt your case.
No, because I feel like we need films like this. I feel like as far as cheapo, late entry, holiday horror films go, this is way better than it has any right to be. I also feel that you know, when we're talking about movies that we all love to watch, that we all love to, you know, sit back and enjoy. Do I own Solaris? Yes. Do I watch Solaris? Once in a while. But I got to be in a very particular type of mood. You know what mood I'm always in for? I'm always in the mood for a kid being rocketed around on a pair of rollerblades. And so that's why, you know, it's hard because I feel like you're going like, oh, you know, there's so many horrible things I can say about this movie, but all the horrible things that you're saying about this movie, to me, are all the things that make it great. Is it Citizen Kane? No, obviously not. It's fucking the 5th entry of the Silent Night, Deadly Night franchise. But is it way wackier than you think it's going to be? Yes. Is it more violent than you think it's going to be? Yeah. Is it weirder? Yeah. Is it way more engrossing? Like, do you actually care about the characters? I would argue yes. And for all of those reasons,
Can you name all the characters right now?
Let me scroll down my Wikipedia.
No. Point has been made.
Look, there's Derek Quinn,
for me,
Derek Quinn and Tom Quinn. All right. There's Joe Petto and Pino Petto. No, look, of course I can't name all the characters in this movie, but I don't need to. Jane Higginson is fantastic. All right, she's the lead. She's Sarah. She's fantastic. Again, she's giving it her all. She is. You know, I just think this is a movie full of actors and special effects artists. I mean, Screaming Mad George did the special effects for this, and he knocked it out of the park, in my opinion. But we have people in this cast and crew that are giving their all to this movie and making something that is just pure fun. And there is a difference, in my opinion, between watching a movie that might be rough around the edges or might not objectively be, you know, like a you know, it's not The Exorcist, it's not The Shining, but it's still fun, versus movies that are so bad they're not good. And that's not even me saying this movie's bad. It's just me saying this movie is fun, and this movie knows exactly what it is, and it aims for that, and it hits it as a bullseye. And I'd much rather see that than a movie that thinks it's something else and aims for that and misses.
I'd like to walk us back just a couple of steps because you mentioned the special effects. Could I have some examples of some of these standout special effects that you felt occurred in the film?
Sure. I mean,
the larvae being pushed by an obvious pole.
There's the larva. My favorite part of the larva is when the tail end is sticking out of his mouth and the head end bursts out of his eye socket. That's a great special effect. I do like Pino's full body animatronic setup at the end. I think it's suitably weird. And I do like all of the late 80s, early 90s animated electricity effects that they add. It's just something that's tangible. It's something fun. And it puts me right in the Christmas spirit.
Just like Return of the Jedi does.
Very good. Do you have any further points, Mr. Skipper?
You know, I think I've said everything that I need to say. For me, the litmus test of what is a good movie is, do I enjoy it? But beyond do I enjoy it, is it achieving what it's setting out to achieve? And as I said before, I think that there are a whole lot of movies that, God bless them, are reaching for some certain height and they just don't get there. Some of those fall into that so bad it's good category. You know, we all have seen Birdemic. Birdemic is not a good movie, but it's enjoyable because, man, he was really going for something and he really missed. Do
you feel it's on par with that Silent Night, Deadly Night 5?
No. My point being is that when you think about what is Silent Night, Deadly Night 5 going to be, I would argue that you think it's going to be a film that is way worse than what we got. Because what we got was a film that is engrossing on a character level, a film that I believe is well acted, a film that you really don't know what's coming. It's got a hell of a twist. A film that has way better than average special effects. A film that is really trying to provide viewers with an action-packed, very silly, very fun, Christmas-themed splatter movie. And you have a film that, in my opinion, exceeds expectations in every one of those levels. And you know, I as I said last time when I was here with Jason Takes Manhattan, you know, my favorite movies. Thank you. My favorite movies are the ones where I really, really, really want to sit in a basement with all my pals at midnight with a whole bunch of beer and laugh our asses off at this awesome movie. And that's what Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toymaker does for me. And that's, in my opinion, the meaning of Christmas.
That is
a film so beloved, it put the final nail in the Silent Night, Deadly Night franchise.
No, it didn't. Yeah. They rebooted
There is
it.
a 6th entry, 2012.
Reboots don't count.
What I would ask is we do have the spoiler warning in the beginning. So, Mr. Skipper, if you could tell us what the twist is in the film.
Well, the twist, of course, is that Pino is an automaton. Pino, Joe Petto's son, who has been just sort of acting weird throughout the film and doing strange, like, creepy things, like standing around the toy store, talking to people in strange ways, or showing up at our main character's house and, like, hanging out in the closet. That, of course, you know, we're led to believe that Pino is just, like, this totally weirdo son. But of course, we find out at the end that not only is Pino a robot, he has no penis, which he decides to very specifically.
It was essential to the plot that he did not have one. All of the film's problems could be solved if Joe Petto would have just built a plastic penis on this Ken doll.
Truly, it's important. And then on top of that, we discover that, it was really Pino making all these murderous toys the whole time so that he could take the little boy's place. Which I guess would be the twist.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Do you have any other further points, or are you resting your case as well?
Look, man, we have drunk Mickey Rooney, we have a sexless killer automaton, and we have a whole bunch of Santas. I don't think I need to say anything else. I rest my case.
As we call it, Saturday night here on Reels of Justice.
We do have fun here.
Very good. Well, both the prosecution and the defense have rested their cases. So the attorneys will now present their closing arguments. Prosecution, you may begin.
Being a direct-to-video 4:3 standard buried at the bottom of Tubi's streaming catalog that you honest to God have to type all the way to SILENT space N before it suggests to you movie with a character named Pedo should honestly tell you everything you need to know. This was the final nail in the Silent Night, Deadly Night franchise, which should have ended at number 2, which was a big number 2. Real shame we didn't get a 6th. I hear they plan to tie these films, these seemingly disjointed films together in a multiverse of sadness in the 6th film. Was Clint Howard's Ricky actually another android? How did that nun get her face all jacked up between parts 1 and 2? How can they cohesively tie together that psychic phenomena, insect-spawning feminist cult, and Oedipal cyborgs all together in one film? Alas, we'll never know. But to sum this film up in one word from the first movie, naughty!
Thank you. Defense, you may present your closing argument.
Clint Howard, Mickey Rooney, Screaming Mad George, Brian fucking Usna, and horny Data. We have all of these things in a film set at Christmas time. I don't care what, Tubi's algorithms are for choosing a movie. I think that's irrelevant. What I believe is that Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toymaker is the best of the Silent Night, Deadly Night franchise by a mile. I think that it's way better than it has any right to be. And I think it's super fucking fun. And if you don't think Christmas is super fucking fun, then bah humbug to you.
Thank you both. Members of the jury, Mr. Robb Maynard, Mr. Big Papa Schlender.
Thank you.
And Mr. Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree, Ryan Luis Rodriguez. You have all heard the facts concerning this case. It is now up to you to decide if this film is guilty of being a bad movie. The bailiff will escort you to the deliberation room to render your verdict.
Aye, that Rooney slays me. Get it, slays. Ah, you wouldn't know humor if I hit you in the back of the head.
So, who wants to go first?
I wouldn't mind hearing from Big Papa here.
All right, Dylan, what are you thinking?
Oh god. Oh god. Oh, okay. Let me get the pleasantries out of the way, I suppose. I love Graham. I love the way Graham watches movies. I love the way he approaches them. You know, this idea of like, oh, let's have fun and watch these movies. He would have a blast watching made-for-TV sci-fi movies with me and my father. You know, he would have his hacker card completely punched out. But here's the thing. These are bad. These are bad movies. And Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toy Maker, might be the worst movie we have ever had on this show.
Oh, I don't agree with that at all.
Oh, it is. It is atrocious, and oh my god! And
I don't even think it's the worst Christmas movie we've done.
Okay,
I think it's better than Scrooged. If you ask me right now, would you rather watch The Toy Maker or Scrooged again? I'd rather watch The Toy Maker.
Okay, but regardless, though, does that make The Toy Maker a good movie? The answer is no.
I mean, the question is, you know, here in this courtroom, we don't really believe in so bad it's good, but there are good things about this movie, I think. I especially think that I thought the special effects were all generally pretty strong. I mean, they're practical effects. They're low budget practical effects, but I didn't get taken out of the film that often by them. Especially
there is a part where that did happen, because I do agree with Mr. Skipper about the android at the end. I thought that was pretty well done for what it was. But what pulls you out of it when it comes to the practical effects, there are things like when the airplane's flying and the way they achieve that effect is just the very tight close-up of it, so you can't see the devices that are pulling it along. It pulls you immediately out of the feature with those kind of things. I mean,
by that same logic, then most of the practical effects in old Toho and Toei movies would take you out of the feature. I mean, they're done basically the same way, like planes on strings, and it's achieved with close-ups. It's that's what practical effect filmmaking is.
Yes, but those are Toho movies. Those are Godzilla movies and everything. Here, we're actually trying to believe that we have small child-sized toys that are capable of killing grown men. And that's another thing too, you know, Mr. Skipper talking about how it's a splatter feature. As far as we know, deaths on screen, there's 3. We get the father at the beginning, we get Mickey Rooney actually dying, and then we get the hotel owner dying. We don't actually know if the boyfriend dies because we don't see his corpse. And not to mention, the babysitter literally gets shot in the chest and is fine.
Well, she could die of her wounds, if that's any... if that helps that is all. And there's also
that is weak tea, Mr. Maynard.
I knew it. There's first off, how many cups of Ben Nog have you had tonight?
I only had 1 cup of Big Ben Nog.
I saw you over there by the buffet treating yourself.
Well, what can I say?
You're forgetting the kid on the roller skates who potentially gets injured.
No, he got injured, but he didn't die. He's in the hospital.
Could die of his wounds too, sepsis or something.
Oh my god, yes. Okay, so yes, in theory, I'm going to die of my wounds from watching this movie again. That's for sure. I mean, my goodness.
To me, I guess you do have to kind of talk about what the motivations of the film are. Is it supposed to be scary? I don't think it is. I don't think something with Silent Night, Deadly Night is really trying to be scary. I think it's tongue in cheek, in which you'd be clued in by the fact that like Mickey Rooney is walking around dressed as a killer Santa named Joe Petto.
No, you're supposed to... Okay, so one of the objectives you would think would be entertaining. It was not entertaining.
I was entertained most of the time, I think.
I was not. This is definitely one, like Graham was talking about, like if you had a bunch of your buddies, you all had a couple beers and you were watching it and you're laughing at how stupid it is, at how bad it is. You're not laughing at how good it is, Mr. Maynard.
Well, no, that becomes the question, is whether you're laughing at it or laughing with it. I'd like to hear from Ryan Luis Rodriguez.
I want to hear from Ryan Luis Rodriguez as well.
Let's not mince words. This movie's fucking terrible. I mean, come on.
Thank you. I rest
But-
my case. Let's go tell the judge.
But there are, I mean, like, I don't know that I would necessarily, like, you guys are describing all these things that happened in the movie. I'm amazed you could remember what happened in the movie. Because what I remember are two scenes. The two people getting attacked by the toys to the point that the guy in tidy whities, they're soaked with blood and it looks like he's wearing a blood diaper. I remember that.
Blood diaper.
And I remember the end with the dickless robot. I don't really... Everything else sloughs right off my brain.
You are 100% right there, Ryan. Slips right off the brain.
I mean, I remember there's the hero boyfriend who stalks them outside, goes to the mall and pretends to be Santa, and that's where you get the Clint Howard cameo. And then he ends up coming to the door and kind of creeping out the sun by being way too ominous. And he's in the hotel room. He's checking out the toys. He gives it to that really rude hotel owner. So yeah,
in hopes that it would kill him, he bought the toys to see if they were going to kill anyone, and he just gives one away.
Yeah, no, he's definitely responsible for that guy's death. But the guy was being really heinous. So I mean,
I don't know.
He's a
I don't know.
reputable businessman.
He is not.
To make sure he got paid.
Own hotel.
He wasn't a reputable businessman. He was trying to kick the guy out, even though he's trying to kick the guy out, even though the guy has paid his bills the entire time.
Yeah, but then the last time it got bounced, and then he said, I could give you cash tomorrow, and he's like, I don't take cash tomorrow. You know, it's like, oh, gladly pay you a hamburger for a hamburger today, tomorrow, you know, that kind of thing. It's the, yeah.
Yes, that kind of thing.
All right, Wimpy.
We're not going to edit that out, are we?
No, we're not.
No, we're definitely not. No, that's
damn it!
So, again, there was stuff that I liked, which I've mentioned. I do actually like all the practical effects. Even if some of the effects are weak on the toys, like I like some of their designs, like the RC car with like the switchblade and the rotating saws that cut off the boyfriend's head. That was a cool design. It's got like spikes on the bottom to impale his chest while it cuts off his head. That was cool. There's like the one-eyed chompy monster that eats the girlfriend out almost to death. He was pretty cool. And I like the little crawling soldiers. So generally, I like most of the toys. I could have done with more toys, though.
Oh, for sure. Because honestly, I did like the RC car that you just mentioned. Like, that was a pretty good design. The other ones you mentioned, I didn't care for. I thought they looked cheap and not very engaging.
Well,
but the RC car was pretty cool.
I mean, the disappointing element of all this is that it's clearly... This is not a movie where somebody said, I have a great idea for a Silent Night, Deadly Night sequel. It was, we have this franchise, we have this title, we need to push more DVDs, or not DVDs, 1991's VHSs.
Yeah.
But
Betamax.
I mean, if this were a better movie, yeah, I mean, there would be a lot more toys, but I mean, that would presuppose that was the point to begin with, when I'm pretty sure that they sat down and thought, well, we need to make another movie in this franchise. What ideas do we have? What about Killer Toys? And then that kind of morphs from there.
See, I don't know much about the backstory. To me, I would assume that a script was written about a killer toy maker, and then they decided to tag on the Silent Night, Deadly Night. Like, I feel like the script came first before the title. I feel like they decided to plop that franchise title onto it because it's like, well, it's around Christmas and it's murder. Like, can't we just add that into our anthology franchise, kind of?
Either of those is entirely plausible. I just think that because Brian Usna produced both 4 and 5, that there's some kind of creative continuity there.
Yeah.
I agree. You know what? The movie kind of reminds us of our show, is that we had this idea and then we're like, what if we get a big star, and we tricked Graham Skipper into being on the show the same way they tricked Mickey Rooney into being in the movie.
We gave him a bottle of Jack Daniels.
Exactly. And he could hit Ben as much as he wanted.
And disappointingly, Mickey Rooney is notoriously good at accents, and he did not do an Italian accent for, hey, I'm Joe Petto, hey!
Mamma mia!
Because, you know, I mean, all we got to do is look at Breakfast and Tiffany's and just know that he is just such a wonderful, subtle comedian.
Oh, my God. We're going to get canceled by association.
Well, that's one thing we got.
Boo!
So I've said some good things about the movie. One thing that I think is sort of bad is I think that the Pinot Pedo thing is kind of a cheat, right? Because I'd say from the bat, he's one of these toys. I mean, you just know, right? I mean, he's Joe Pedo.
Well, I mean, his name is Pinot.
Exactly. He's Pinot Pedo. He's Pinocchio. Like, haha. Like, so there's no...
That's what it meant.
Yeah, exactly. There's no twist there because it's exactly what you expect is him to be artificial. But the thing is, clearly at the end, he has like plastic hair and very clearly defined lines in his face where his face can come off, which he didn't have in the rest of the movie. The rest of the movie, he looked like an actual real boy. So I thought that was kind of a
almost
cheat.
Inconsistent.
No, I love something too that Graham said. He's like, "Oh, this movie's not nearly as bad as you think it's going to be. Like, it fails to live down to your expectations." It's something that's like good about it, you know. So,
but yeah,
I mean, look, I don't want to waste any more of the court's time. I am a firm guilty on this one, but oh my god, what a ride! Holy crap, that's funny.
And I'm going to split the decision because I'm going to give it not guilty. I would watch this again. It isn't like Citizen Kane, no. But as a horror movie, I think it does hit the marks that I want out of a horror movie. Yeah, it's sometimes corny and cheesy, but a lot of low budget horror movies are. But you got the violence. It does have the entertainment factor, and I do think practical effects matter, especially in what would be considered an effects movie. And I think this hits on that. And while I don't think the ending is like brilliant or genius, it's memorable. I remember it. So yeah, I'm going not guilty. So Ryan, it's up to you here.
Well, I mean, like, so I appreciate kind of the nature of low budget filmmaking and kind of the creativity that it kind of pulls out of you, whether you want to provide it or not. And the practical effects, I think, I mean, while not outstanding, should at least be applauded for not being as...
It's not Birdemic.
I don't even know the proper way to... No, it's not. It's there's actual ingenuity there and actual creativity. And somebody, I mean, Screaming Mad George is a craftsman. He mostly toils in, like, you know, slasher sequels and that kind of stuff. But I mean, that's pulp is pulp. That's not a problem. But I would never watch this again. I'm not necessarily sure that I even watched it the first time. I still don't have any confirmation that actually happened. So I'm going to have to go guilty.
Thank you. Restoring balance and sanity in here. Robb with his fleeting fever dream that this movie is not guilty. All right, let's go tell the judge.
Mr. Foreman, have you reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor. In the case of The People vs. Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toy Maker, we find the accused guilty.
Oh, no!
Unbelievable. Ooh. The verdict is so rendered. Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toy Maker, is hereby sentenced to produce a 7th entry to the series, which gives Clint Howard more screen time. Court is adjourned.
Reporting for the Gabagoo Gazette. It's me, Classy Fizzywinks. I'm an elf. Mr. Haslar, the jury made a list and checked it twice. Was this movie naughty or nice?
Well, I want to borrow your printer if I can, Mr. Fizzywinks, because I'm going to print up the IMDb page for this and mail it to Santa to put on his naughty list. These people can make any kind of movie. Well, almost any kind of movie. They couldn't make a good movie, and justice was served today.
All right, thank you. Mr. Skipper, over here, please.
Yeah.
No, lower, into my can mic. I'm an elf. Did you get your Christmas wish?
No, I did not. I'm very frustrated and I'm very sad because I feel like the spirit of Christmas was dimmed a little bit this year when we all need a little hope and joy the most. Sadly, the court disagreed and they chose to shit all over a super fun movie.
Oh, well, thank you. And that's all we have for today.
Oh, hold on there. Santa has arrived. and he wants to tell you all you get coal in your stockings this year.
No, not me, Santa, I voted for you!
No! Go fuck yourself!
We now go back to the boys for post-trial analysis. Merry Christmas!
Wow, did you guys see that? Santa was here.
I love Santa.
Well, you made me feel all bad about myself.
Wow,
now,
what a
Graham. Good
show.
job.
We had a,
You know what, Graham? You can take that guilt trip and shove it for Graham. I invite you on my show and you make me watch this movie? What the hell, man?
That's right.
you did
That's
promise
right.
to yell at people. I mean, we had a visit from Santa and an elf this year.
I know.
Very impressive.
Oh my god.
I want to punch him.
Look, I'll say this. I get it. It's not everybody's cup of tea. I love this movie. I think other people will too. I fully respect I don't respect it, but I appreciate and acknowledge your decision.
I would say this, and I don't think the other two agree. I can accept it being bad, but I still like it. And I like bad movies, sometimes for being bad. And that's where this lands to me. Yeah, it was probably a bad movie, but it was a bad movie I liked.
Yeah.
I'm with you, and sort of in that sense. This is the ripping world, where you're like with your buddies and you're just laughing, sort of at it, sort of with it.
Yeah, this is definitely when you punch the hacker card on. It's on like the Sci-Fi Channel at like 3 a.m. and you throw it on.
This movie too was like a relatively recent discovery for me. I mean, it was a couple years ago, and I hadn't ever looked at any of the Silent Night, Deadly Night movies past part 2, and somebody was like, no, like, check it out. In fact, I think it was Joe Begas, and he was like, no, you should check out like 3, 4, 5, and that, I think, to me is why I kept harping on like, oh, it's so much better than it has any right to be. Like, it's actually, it's like you think these movies are going to be. It's like you get into like part 8 and 9 of like the Hellraiser series, and it's like, oh god. But like you're getting to part 5 of Silent Night, Deadly Night, and it's like, oh, okay, Screaming Mad George, all right, this is pretty rad.
Now, Graham, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
So this is your favorite of the 5?
Yes.
Do you think that it's the best one, or is it just your favorite of the 5? Because I know that there's a difference between best and favorite.
That's a good question. If I had to say what like the objective, I mean, what is best? Like, I mean, just like the one that works best is like a movie. Like if you haven't, if you have no investment in this series whatsoever, if you can even call it a series. Yeah, I probably would say this one, only because I mean the only other real contender. I mean, look, part 4, I like a lot, but it is also like if you thought that this one was murky in terms of plot and story, like part 4 is even more so. I think that part 1, or the first one, I mean, maybe it works a little better in terms of coherence, but I just find it really nasty. It's just like nasty, not in a fun way. I just don't enjoy. There's no enjoyment really for me in watching the first one.
It kind of loses that Christmas playfulness.
Yeah, there's like, and like I don't mind a nasty horror film. Don't get me wrong. Like I'll watch a nasty horror film, but even something like another Christmas film, right? Inside from 2007, the French film. That movie is nasty as shit. But there's still, it's so like artfully done and so intense that I really appreciate that one's nastiness. Silent Night, Deadly Night 1 I've just never been able to get into, and I think that it's just because I don't know, it just leaves me feeling not great, and I don't really have a fun time with it, and sometimes I can have a fun time with nastiness, but not with that one. So yeah, I guess my answer would be yes. I by those criteria, I would say that part 5 to me is the best of the franchise.
Because I think that like part 1 I think works better as an ad campaign than it does like a movie.
Sure.
Like, I'll remember that poster for my entire life. I really don't remember anything that happens in the movie itself, but that poster is like seared onto my childhood memory. But like I would throw my weight behind 4 as probably the best.
Yeah, 4, but again, what's hard for me about 4 is that it also has zero to do with Christmas.
Very true.
And when I'm ranking or like talking about the objective goodness of movies in the Silent Night, Deadly Night franchise, while I certainly appreciate, and there was a time when I was going to bring 4 to this trial. It was between 4 and 5 that I was thinking about. But like when I have to think of the objective goodness of something, I have to think about the title it's given and the franchise it's a part of. And by that metric, I have to say that 5 is better than 4, simply because it leans into Christmas in its very DNA.
Yeah, I don't really have I haven't seen the rest of the series, with the exception of the very famous scene from 2, right?
Right.
Garbage Day, which I've probably watched 1,000 times on repeat on YouTube in college. So I haven't seen the rest of the series. Ryan and Ben, I know you guys kind of crammed it.
I watched them all in order to prepare for this. I was told like this one had nothing to do with it. I'm sort of glad I
No
did.
wonder
but-
you're so mad though, because you watched
great.
all.
I know.
I had seen 1 and 2 before, and I watched 2 earlier this year because it was on the Joe Bob Christmas special on Shudder. So I watched like all of those, but then I watched 3, 4, and 5 specifically for this.
Okay,
And
well,
I gotta say, I enjoyed 4 the most.
you enjoyed 4 the most. Ben, what was your favorite of the?
I just liked 4, honestly. Like he said, it had nothing to do with Christmas, but just because like that whole bug thing, it was kind of the most revolting of the 4, and it was sort of going for a feminist angle, but I'm not sure it ever really hit it. It's just an odd film.
I
I kind of like the first one
season
because
of
it's
the witch of the series,
it.
and down to the fact that they watch a clip from the previous movie in it, which in Season of the Witch they watch a commercial for the first Halloween movie,
Cute.
and that kind of got my my nostalgia going a little bit. But yeah, and it has Agnes DePesto for Moonlighting, and that's always a good thing for me.
So Ben, your favorite one was?
I think the first one. I think the second one's my least favorite because half of it is a recap of the first film, and then that guy's acting is just almost insultingly bad. Like, here it comes, you know. It's just, yeah, it's not even trying. So I do not think 5 is the worst one, if that's anything to you, Graham.
Okay, I mean, I guess to say, I was wondering if you watched these in a marathon, would 5 be your favorite one based on that? And it sounds like there's differing opinions in there.
Well, they're all just such different films. It's sort of hard to compare them, you know. It really feels like apples and oranges, even within it's not really a series because they're all so episodic and different.
Kind of the way they wanted Halloween to be.
Yeah, I mean,
it was
like 3 is directed by Monty Hellman, so you know he knows what he's doing. I mean, I don't know that he's necessarily happy that he went from like Cockfighter and 2-Lane Blacktop to Silent Night, Deadly Night 3, but you know,
but Hellman, he makes a good mayonnaise.
Oh, boo.
Jesus.
Yeah, Ryan's actually bringing real research and knowledge to the show, and you're making a mayonnaise joke. My God.
Anyway, sorry to derail you, Ryan. Please finish your trenchant point.
No, I'm good.
Damn it, I ruin everything.
And this was Ryan's last episode of Reels of Justice.
Not because of quit, though. Anyway, so, but interesting trial. I kind of want to see the rest of the movies now. And so thank you, Graham, for introducing us to this.
Yeah, thanks for, that was half the reason of me bringing up this movie at all, is I feel like, if nothing else, people tend to only think of Silent Night, Deadly Night as the first 2 movies, but there are 3 other batshit bonkers movies after those, and I think that they're all very worthy of a watch, and people don't really talk about them, so I just wanted to talk about one of my favorite ones.
Super cool.
And that's the beauty of the show.
Yeah,
I love that we get to give people that opportunity.
Yeah.
So what's been keeping you busy lately? What have you been up to?
Been doing a lot of stuff. I actually have starting I don't know when this is airing, but on Wednesday, December 16th is going to be our first show. And it is a show called Down in the Basement with Graham Skipper. And it is a weekly horror live radio talk show that will be airing on the Spoon Network. So if you go to your app store, and currently it's only on like iPhone and Android, like it's not on your computer.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got the Spoon app. You can find us. We air every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific. And really, it's a conversation about horror stuff. You know, I have a list of things that I want to talk about, and listeners can chat in real time with me and can also call in. And throughout the show, we're going to have a lot of really cool guests. We already have a bunch of cool people booked. We have Bill Moseley from Silent Night, Deadly Night 3. We have my buddy George Wendt, best known as Norm from Cheers, but also a horror icon in his own right. My pal Brio Grant, Joe Begas, a bunch of folks are coming. Geraldine Bausman, a bunch of folks are going to come on, talk about horror. And you know, every episode is going to be a little bit different. We're going to have, you know, just live discussions about really anything and everything horror. And the idea is that it's a place where both, like, you know, veteran horror fans and total newbies can come together and get recommendations and talk to each other and meet each other and just be a cool community for each other. So it's going to be really fun. Again, it's called Down in the Basement. It's on Spoon. So go to your Spoon or go to your app store, search for Spoon, and search for Down in the Basement every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific from now until the apocalypse. And I mean, maybe beyond. The apocalypse sooner rather than later, but we don't know. But yeah, I'm really excited about that. We've been working really hard to put a good show together, and I think it's going to be a fun adventure. So I hope that people listen in.
Now, does the Spoon app enable people to call in or contact you, or is there a third party way that?
No. It's the Spoon app allows you to call in. So literally, if you have an account and you just there's like a little icon that says call in, and you just press it, and then your phone immediately calls the show.
Oh, that is pretty cool.
And you know what, everyone? While Graham was talking, I went to the Google store. I downloaded Spoon. You can sign in with your Google ID, and I am now the 19th fan of Down in the Basement.
Aw, thank you so much. Thank you very much.
There you go.
That means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, super easy to do. This is going to be exciting. I look forward to the show.
Yeah, Spoon.
Thanks. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
It's definitely going to be cool. Now, I know you had some plans, I remember, to do like a virtual rated R party. Are there still?
So we did. Thanks for bringing that up. So we did a couple of small rated R virtual parties. The most recent one that we did was we were the opening night party for the Night Stream Film Festival, which, you know, happened earlier. I don't know, God, 2 months ago. What year is this? 2084. But yeah, and that was really fun. We're, you know, again, hoping that with vaccines and things coming out in 2021 that we'll be able to start having in-person parties again. But our night stream party was a total blast. We definitely are wanting to do more of those. And so that's something that as the new year begins, we're talking about trying to figure out how to make that a regular thing. So yeah, everything on all the social media, Rated R Bar or Rated R Horror, Rated R Horror Speakeasy. That's a mouthful. Follow us there, and you know, keep abreast of any developments with that.
Speakeasy, but not so easy to speak.
Yeah.
I get one. But very cool. We will keep an eye out for that. You always do the coolest stuff.
Well, thanks. I try to keep busy, and I just want to put cool stuff into the world because I want to experience cool stuff with cool people, and you all are cool people. Horror people are cool people.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, and so that's why I like this show. That's why I like Rated R. That's why I'm excited about Down in the Basement. You know, I feel like right now we can all use community more than ever, and I think these are all ways to provide a little bit of community when maybe we can't be together in person.
Absolutely.
I like it.
Love it.
And now, in honor of the season, we'll ask you for a recommendation of a Christmas movie you think people should check out.
Yeah. So I have three for you. The first one that I was actually going to do was Silent Night, Deadly Night for the Initiation. It's not really a Christmas movie because it has nothing to do with Christmas other than the title. But as we've said already, it's fun. It has a bug sex cult. It's great.
It's snowing. It's snowing in the background in one scene.
It is snowing. It is snowing in the background. That's true. But Brian Usna directs. It's totally bonkers. Very much worth your while. And then just to be a shill less for myself and more for filmmakers that I greatly admire. I am actually in 2 Christmas horror films. So I'm going to recommend both of those. One of them is Automation by Gato Setien. And it's out wherever you find movies, and it's about a killer robot, and I play a real asshole in that one.
That must have been a real stretch, huh?
That is a great question. Do you have a penis in it?
I do have a penis, but it's never shown.
Okay, so we could just assume.
But don't worry, the sequel has yet to be made.
Ooh.
And then the other one is All the Creatures Were Stirring by Rebecca and David Ian McKendry. And both of those are really fun horror films. All the Creatures Were Stirring is an anthology horror film. Both set at Christmas. Both will get you in the Christmas spirit. So if you're looking for something to watch and you're not sure what, check those out and give some indie filmmakers, a couple bucks and help make their Christmases that much brighter.
That's cool. And Rebecca McKendry, PhD. So
PhD, Dr. Rebecca McKendry.
Exactly.
That's right.
Got to get that. So excellent recommendations and suggestions, and I'll definitely have to hunt those down. And I guess since I was the judge, I'll go with my recommendation next. And in the vein of The Toy Maker, I'm going to recommend another film about killer toys, and that's 1998's Small Soldiers.
Nice.
Great movie.
It's directed by Joe Dante, and while the on-screen cast is incredible, featuring Kirsten Dunst, Kevin Dunn, Jay Moore, David Cross, Dennis Leary, Robert Picardo, of course, Dick Miller, and the final film appearance of Phil Hartman, that's already star-studded enough. I think it's the voice cast that really steals the show. Because voicing the 2 warring factions of AI-enhanced action figures is Frank Langella, Michael McKeon, Harry Shearer, Ernest Borgnine, George Kennedy, Bruce Dern, Jin Cummings of Winnie the Pooh fame, Sarah Michelle Gellar and Christina Ricci, Clint Walker in, I think, what ends up being his final film, Christopher Guest, and then, as if that wasn't enough, finally, as the leader of the Commando Elite, Major Chip Hazard, we have the incomparable Tommy Lee Jones. So, quite a crazy cast.
As, the cast of The Dirty Dozen versus the cast of Spinal Tap.
Yes. It's fantastic.
And it's sort of like, what if Toy Story tried to kick you in the nuts? It's funny, it's violent, and it opened up an excellent marketing opportunity for a badass toy line. So, Small Soldiers, check it out. And Ben, what do you got for us?
I'm going to go ahead and recommend A Christmas Story before somebody else does. I don't have a whole lot of Christmas movies that I go to every year, but this is definitely one of them. 24 hours of it on TBS. They can't all be wrong.
Not all 24 hours.
It's a great. Yeah, they all can't be wrong. So it's a great look back of through the eyes of kiddom, how everything's so rushed and disjointed, but it all comes together in a cohesive feeling. So yeah, it's beloved. It's beloved for a reason. I think it shouldn't have, we shouldn't be buying, fudge at the grocery store. That's too much. But as a low budget Christmas film, it's fantastic.
And of course it put those leg lamps on the market really big.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a major award.
Yeah. Pretty great. Schlenzo D, what have you got for us?
Well, so last time I recommended my father's favorite Christmas movie. This week I'm going to recommend my dear mother's favorite Christmas movie, and that's White Christmas starring Bing Crosby. And my family, we have a tradition every Christmas. We do what's called White Christmas, where we drink Sam Adams White Christmas while watching White Christmas. And it's wonderful, and I think everyone should do that. And watch the movie White Christmas. It's just a pure delight.
That sounds like a
How
wonderful
many
life.
White Christmases did you have on White Christmas? Well,
I think we only ever had the one White Christmas that was the White Christmas, but I'd have to double check the logs.
I would prefer double Christmas, White Christmas.
Now, double Christmas, White Christmas, we did do for a while, but Southern Tier changed the recipe, so I don't want to get us sued, so I don't want to badmouth the actual company.
I do love Southern Tier anyway, though, so we love you, Southern Tier. Send us some free beer. And last but not least, we got Ryan Luis Rodriguez. Send us home, baby.
With 7 recommendations.
12 days of recommendation.
No, only one this week. But it was one that was mentioned earlier in the episode, and from a director that was mentioned by Ben, one of the few truly successful meldings of horror with Christmas from 1974, Bob Clark's Black Christmas.
So we recommended White Christmas and Black Christmas.
Yes, it is, dare I say it, spooky. It manages to be supremely creepy and atmospheric. It's surprisingly political, and it's got a great cast. John Saxon, Margot Kidder, Andrea Martin from SCTV. I love this movie. Unfortunately, its legacy might have been dampened a bit since its release due to a glut of comparatively derivative imitators and remakes that I shall not name. But it's just the right amount of pulp and artsy-fartsy and still alluring after 46 years. And it's streaming on Shudder, on the Criterion Channel, and of course, the place you should seek it out first, Canopy. Support your local library, folks.
Support your libraries. What first time I watched Black Christmas, all I could think of was Halloween. And Black Christmas comes first, right?
Yep.
So,
and without this, there is no Halloween.
Exactly.
Without a doubt, there's absolutely no Halloween.
Fantastic.
Well, now that's interesting because in real life, Halloween happens in October and Christmas happens in December.
Shut up.
Yeah, that's the case.
And that's all the time we have. Graham, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, we always have a great time. We'll have to have you back again, and that'll be the rubber match.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Graham, you are the only person to defeat Ryan Luis Rodriguez. I know it's been a while since you've been on the show.
Okay. All right.
Well, Ryan is undefeated. You are the only stain on his record. So I would love to
defeated the guy who defeated Ryan. That means I am the best lawyer.
That means Graham's just got to pick a better movie when he comes back.
Well, I have many that I will bring.
Awesome.
I'd love to come back. I always love these, and it was a pleasure to talk to you guys.
Yeah, well, we definitely look forward to having you back, too. And with that, we are all out of show, but we hope you'll join us next time as the Reels of Justice keep turning.
Cheers.
Count it.
Please follow us on Twitter at Reels of Justice, Instagram Reels of Justice, and Facebook.com/Reels of Justice.